Hello everyone and welcome back to the Racing Games channel. My name is Mark and I'm here to talk about video game demos. Is it time developers brought back demos, or have they been rightfully consigned to the past? Here's what I think. For those too young to remember, a demo is usually a short section of the game released by the developers either during development as a means of building up hype for the game's release, or as a post-release marketing tool. Pre-release, a demo might be previewed at an event such as E3, or released on a platform such as the Xbox Live Marketplace or PlayStation Store. It's the first chance players would get to see actual gameplay, as well as being an opportunity to try out the game before it is released.
The sky is blue and it's the perfect day for a drive.
Post-release, a demo is a way for a prospective buyer to try out the game before they decide whether or not to buy. For us nearing our 30s, it was always an exciting moment to open our latest gaming magazine only to see a demo collection disc fall into our laps. That's right, there used to be game discs devoted entirely to demos. These days, demos are few and far between, so why have demos fallen out of popularity?
Take that downhill bike and stick it on this trail.
Demos have effectively been replaced by betas, or even alphas in the case of some games. Both of these, however, can be summed up by one simple term: early access. Early access is exactly what the name suggests, an opportunity to play the game early before release. The Call of Duty series is well known for its early access period, with many anticipating this phase of development almost as much as the game's actual release. For gamers, it's the first chance to get their hands on the game and see what it's all about. For the developers, it's a great way to obtain feedback about the game, such as any glitches or bugs, and in the case of a multiplayer game, it's a good way to test if the game is well balanced. Some beta periods are open to all, such is the case with Call of Duty. Others are closed betas, with select individuals chosen to test the game under tighter conditions. Closed betas have always existed in the games industry, with quality assurance testers hired by studios to stress test games, ensuring the game is as bug-free as possible before release. Nowadays, however, the process is more crowdsourced and is much more open. We know, right? An open closed beta. Sounds weird, doesn't it? Forza Motorsport 8 earlier this year ran a closed beta where players could apply to join. A lottery-like system was used to randomly select players to join the beta and test the game, before providing feedback that would be used to perfect the game further. All of this so far sounds pretty good. Players get to playtest the game whilst it's still in development, and developers get valuable feedback that is used to make the game better. Sounds like a win-win, right? Well, not always. The biggest issue with early access games is that normally you have to have already bought the game before you're allowed access to any alphas or betas. This means betas are not demos. They do not allow a player to try a game before deciding whether to buy it. Instead, they buy a game based on trailers and gameplay previews, and only then do they get to see what they've actually bought. This leads to a scenario where you are no longer seeing what a game is, but instead what it might be. A very famous example of this is the release of No Man's Sky. The trailers looked incredible, the previews were very impressive, and as for the game, well... Some might argue that betas, and especially early access, are an excuse for developers to release an unfinished game, then use player feedback to prioritise issues that need fixing. No Man's Sky is another good example of this, where the game in its current state is a far cry from the game that was released back in 2016. We're also seeing this with Cyberpunk 2077, with the developers now working to fix all the issues that were present upon release. To some players, this is just part and parcel of modern day game development. To others, it's seen as immoral that a game can be released and bought when it's obviously not in a finished state. Now, I'm not here today to host that argument, as we haven't got all day, but both parties have got a point. Early access is warmly welcomed because it gives the players a chance to play an anticipated title early, However, because of early access, there's now a blurred line between when a game is ready to be released and when it's actually released. For us gamers, we don't want to buy an unfinished product, and we certainly don't want to be made to wait months for an update that fixes major issues. If only there was a solution to this problem. Oh yeah, there is. Bringing back demos would be the best of both worlds. Players can, for free, get a taste of an upcoming game, whilst developers can use the demo as a chance to get feedback from players as to how the game plays, identifying any game-breaking bugs and glitches and fixing them before the game is released. This is a system regularly seen on Steam, with indie studios creating demos of upcoming releases for players to try before they commit to buying. Steam has a platform for feedback, where players can report bugs directly to the developers. So why is this not seen more often with AAA studios? The simple answer is money. Demos do not guarantee sales, so sadly, there is little to no chance of major studios reverting back to demo releases when they can capitalize off of selling the game then running a beta. To those of us who grew up playing demos, this is bad news. Many of my game purchases in my teens came from playing demos first. Test Drive Unlimited was the first demo I downloaded onto my Xbox 360, and I spent hours on that demo. Eventually I got tired of the game booting me out once my free time was up, and so I took the plunge and bought it. Demos don't guarantee sales, but they certainly help. I haven't bought every game I've played the demo of, I admit, but I do know that without playing Test Drive Unlimited's demo, I would never have bought the game. Compare that to many games that I now don't buy because I can't try before deciding to buy it. Some might argue that demos do still live on, but in a different format. In the era of YouTube, content creators act as surrogate demos, with developers giving them a developer build of games to play on their channel before release. I can also attest to having bought several games after seeing my favourite channels play them, the best example being Motorsport Manager. But it's not quite the same as an actual demo. I still haven't played the game myself before deciding whether to buy it or not, so it's never going to be a true replacement. Ultimately, the games industry evolved for a reason. Whether or not we agree with it, money speaks the loudest, and that's the main reason why demos died. Early access is a great way to experience games before release, but not everyone wants to buy the game before they even see it. In an ideal world, demos can coexist alongside early access, with a preview build being used as a demo, then early access being used for those who have already pre-ordered the game. But with demo plays not equaling sales, this is very unlikely to happen. Another factor to consider is a game's development cycle. Games are constantly updated, with new content added with each update or season. This means demos will soon become outdated, with added features meaning the demo no longer truly represents the game. Of course, the demo can also be updated, but is it worth allocating development time to keep a demo up to date? Probably not. So sadly, it seems as though demos are mostly consigned to history. But do you think they should be brought back? Let us know in the comments down below. For now though, thank you for watching. I've been Mark from Racing Games, and now I'm off to download the demo of Burnout Paradise again.